club legend at the likes of Chelsea and Leeds, was part of the Netherlands squad that reached the 1998 World Cup semi-finals, and after he retired, he was a member of the England coaching staff when we reached the final of the Euros just 2 years ago. He is, of course, none other than the incredible Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink.
Good morning, Jimmy.
Jimmy, good morning to you.
Boys. Morning, boys.
How about that for an intro?
Not bad from you.
It's good, right?
Yeah.
I read your text out. I got your text this
Can I ask a
morning.
quick question, Andy?
Of course you can, yeah.
That goal that Watkins scored, did you celebrate?
Yes, of course.
It was against Netherlands?
Yeah.
Good. I love that, Jimmy. I love that.
Yeah, we are there to win. We are there to do a job. We are there to make sure that we get to the final. And to be fair, the whole game, I had a feeling that we were going to win. Even when we went behind, when Simmons scored. There was no panic in my brain whatsoever, because we were from minute one straight away on top. We had the extra man in midfield, and it was working really, really well. So, yeah, when Ollie scored, I had like 5 seconds of like celebrating, but then we had to. If you look at the pictures back, we had to change straight away to because we were a little bit open just to defend and get the job done.
What I love about that is you said, I knew we were going to win. And that we is England, right?
I love that. Yeah.
What I find really interesting about it, obviously we've got a German manager. Was it difficult for you to get your head round the fact that you were, in theory, you were not English, but you just said we, and that's we is the England. Was that difficult for you to work out how to react to that?
No, not really, because I was born in Suriname. When I was 6, I moved to the Netherlands. I stayed for 18 years in the Netherlands. Yes, Dutch passport, played for the Netherlands. But then when I came to England, I stayed in England, and I've lived now longer in England than I've been in the Netherlands. So I really know the culture and all that kind of stuff. But on top of that, you're part of a team, you know. So you're part of a group, and it has to be we, you know. So
but
that's
we
why.
only because you've been in England for so long. If, for argument's sake, France said, come and do that same job for the French team, would France become a we for you or not? Excuse the pun, by the way.
Not France the country,
Right.
but France the group.
Yes.
You know,
okay.
France the your team. That's we, you know, because you're doing it together. So you're part of that group, and that is we. With England, it's a little bit more special because I've been so long here, you know, and it makes it even more special because I used to play in the same team as Gareth and you know, all that kind of stuff. So you want him to do well as well, you know, and everything that comes with it.
I want to talk to you about England's chances to win the World Cup. We'll get to that in a minute. I want to get your view on the England squad, right? And I'm curious as to your involvement when an England manager is picking a squad for a major tournament. How involved are you, if at all?
Yeah, you debate about it.
You do?
Yeah, of course. Of course, you have to put your point across, but the final decision is the manager, and the moment that he makes that decision, you are right behind it, and you know, that's it, and you move on, and that is the team, and let's go and do it, you know. But he's asking, what do you think, and you give your opinion, and then he asks why, and you give your opinion again. So but I think majority of the time the manager knows the 22 23 players that he wants to take and why he wants to take them.
Jimmy, I remember watching you as a kid and like those Pumas you had on and the way you strike the ball. I mean, fantastic striker, left foot, right foot, outside the box, wherever you want, goal. I want to know about like what sort of sessions you put on for the strikers, the national team, because I would have loved to have had you as a coach during my time at Aston Villa. I think it's so important. Obviously, with England, they've got very good finishers, but they would have learnt so much from you.
Yeah, look, the thing is, all these players that go to England, they're top players. You don't need to teach them how to shoot or where to be, or how to head a ball or whatever. They know that already. It's making them feeling good. Okay. It's making them feeling good about themselves. It's making them hit that net, you know? So you're putting things on for them to hit the net. Forget about the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper is not important. Mm-hmm. Majority of the time, the goalkeepers, they hate me because you don't think about them. It's about the striker hitting the net, hitting that goal, getting that feeling, being in a great space. You know, them wide players, you know, crossing or also hitting the net. You know,
I would have been a nightmare, by the way, for my manager if you was coaching, because I would have been like, oh, come on, I don't want to do that shape. Can we just go with Jimmy? Just go with Jimmy. Do shoot, because I always want to do shooting sessions, 1v1s, and then shooting drills. That's all I ever wanted to do.
Yeah, and you try to replicate what is going to happen in the game. You try to replicate your kind of chances.
Yes.
You know, that you're gonna get, you know, from an angle shooting, you know, and those kind of things. But majority of the time, it's about you feeling good, you know, you coming off that pitch and you have hit that net and you're going in really with confidence.
Yes. Jimmy, one of the England players that has a responsibility, hopefully, of scoring lots of goals for England at the World Cup is Bukayo Saka. I don't know if you're listening to the show this morning, but we were discussing the fact that Thomas Tuchel's come out and said that he's not necessarily ready yet. He's carrying a knock. And you've got the likes of Cole Palmer and Phil Foden left at home. What's your view, firstly, on the fact that he's taken a player to a World Cup who's not 100% fit? And also the fact that Palmer and Foden are missing from the squad?
It depends who you're taking, who is not 100% fit.
Would you take a Bukayo Saka that's not 100% fit?
All day long.
You would?
Yeah.
Explain why.
I would take Saka all day long, even if he has... Look, okay, if he is not 100% fit for the first 2 matches or whatsoever, I'll take him all day long. Because he always turns up. He always turns up in big matches. He takes responsibility. He has got the experience now. He's a penalty taker. He gives assists, he scores goals. Let's not forget the goal that he scored against Switzerland. Let's not forget the penalty that he took very calmly as well. In the final against Spain, he was one of the better players. For Arsenal, he turns up. He hasn't had the best year this year, even though they have become champions. He expects more from himself, but he's the best player in his position for England.
Okay, so I agree with most of what you said. So what about the fact he's not taken Palmer or Foden? Would you have taken one or both?
Look, I'm biased, am I? Everybody knows that I love Cole Palmer to bits. You know, with Phil Foden, it's a little bit. I think he's a magnificent player, but he has to have the players around him to play really for him, to be able for him to produce what he's producing at Man City. So you're always going to search a little bit more for Phil Foden to get the best out of Phil Foden, you know? So, but Cole Palmer, I would have taken him, but I do understand why Tuchel hasn't taken him, because he hasn't had the best season he could have had.
How important is that, though, that players that go to tournaments, you went to the 1998 World Cup, that you're going into a tournament in form?
Yeah, I had a magnificent year in 98. I didn't expect to go, but I went because I had a magnificent year. Look, Cole Palmer, I know he can turn up and be decisive. But then I think he hasn't done it for England the whole year. He's been unlucky when he came to England with injuries and all that kind of stuff. He's had a lot of football in a very small amount of time, and his body is just in bits. So for Chelsea, it's great because he can look after his body now, and he can be angry and have a really good year this year for Chelsea. But for himself, he will be disappointed.
I get that. Of course, the 2001 Premier League Gold Boot winner, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink. The reason we're playing the Strictly Come Dancing music, because, of course, Jimmy was involved in the show last year. It says finished a respectable 11th. I don't know if they're taking the mickey. How many was there? 12 in it?
No, there was 16 or something like that.
Did you enjoy it?
I loved it.
Yeah?
I loved it, and I was really sad to go home.
Were you?
Yeah, I wanted to stay in. My daughters are all dancers, so dancers and actors and all that kind of stuff. So I had to.
How'd they tell you? How'd they tell you to leave? Do they say you can foxtrot off now?
Something like that.
They said that.
Yes,
okay.
Something like that. Yes.
Did it give you the bug to do more reality TV or game shows?
No, not whatsoever. That is it. Done that for my girls.
Oh, that's nice.
Amazing.
Done that because one is at a dance college, and that's what she wants to do. One is in the West End, and she dances, she sings, and all that kind of stuff.
Wow, that's really nice you did that.
So yeah.
Okay, but you wouldn't do like I'm a Celebrity. You wouldn't go
Nope.
on ice, dancing on ice, something like that.
No. I've done my stuff. I've done my thing.
Would you like to see Gabby in a reality show?
No way.
Strictly or something like that?
No way. I'm stiff.
I fear for Gabby on the
I'm
dancing
stiff,
floor.
mate. Yeah.
Was it difficult for you to learn the moves, or are you naturally quite?
No, I was good.
You're nimble.
Yeah, he's got
I was
some
good.
shapes.
No. It is hard. It is really, really hard. I've never done something like it.
Nervous.
I have a little bit of rhythm,
Yeah.
but it is yeah.
The nerves when you're
the nerve. That was the biggest thing. Lauren was my partner. She was absolutely magnificent with me. Yeah.
Speaking of TV shows, have you seen any of the Gareth Southgate TV show, Dear England?
I've not watched it yet, but I've been told to watch it, and
Okay.
I will.
Do you think Gareth deserves more respect for the role that you do?
Yes.
Why do you think he doesn't get it?
Because people are really critical, and people in football forget really, really quickly. You forget what happened yesterday very, very quickly in England or in football generally. Let's not forget when he took over, where England were.
Yeah.
England has never been in a final on a different different country.
Yeah.
Semi-final, been there in the World Cup, and yeah, you can say, oh, he should have done this, should have done that, but that is always easy, afterwards. Unlucky at some stages. Spain was better. I'll say that Spain was better in 2024.
Do you think the FA should have kept him on rather than go with Thomas Tuchel?
I think it was more his decision. I think.
Do you speak to him about it?
No, I've never spoken to him.
You haven't?
No.
Okay.
No, because that is his
choice.
His choice. I think the amount of time doing what he's done.
Mm. We had so many predictions already on talkSPORT who will win the World Cup. Many saying France, plenty saying Argentina, and even some saying England. So come on, Jimmy, who's going to win the World Cup?
England has got a chance, obviously, but you need to get the momentum. France is going to be the team to beat.
Yeah, we think that. Yeah,
even though Argentina won it last, Argentina will be there and thereabouts. I have got a really sneaky feeling Portugal is going to do really, really
Why?
well.
Because of the players or because of Ronaldo in particular?
Because of Messi won it 4 years ago.
Yep.
He will be desperate. But on top of that, they've got such a good squad.
They really have.
They've got such a good squad and players, so many players at top clubs. I think they can handle the heat as well. I just don't ask me why. It's just a feeling
They've got so many top midfielders, haven't they? Also, do you think no players like Neto and Rafael Leao, they have to turn up as well?
They have to.
Such a good player, Rafael Leao.
They have to. They will. A Neto, a Leao, a Fernandes. You know, these guys, they will have to turn up, but they can.
Yeah.
You know, and they know the pressure of it because they are all playing at big clubs. But they have strength in depth.
They have to get the right balance though, Ronaldo, because you know he's not going to be able to play all the minutes. They've got Gonzalo Ramos, they've got Guedes.
No, if they have got that right, look, he can't be starting every match,
Exactly,
and he will have to be looked after. But if they get that right, that balance right, they will go far.
I want to talk to you about the Dutch chances, right? And let me start off by asking this question.
Sure?
Well, what I'm curious about, Jimmy, is over here we've won the World Cup, albeit 1966, but every time there's a major competition, more so the World Cup, there's a desperation amongst this country. You know, it's coming home. Are we going to win it? There's so much pressure on the manager. Now, of course, the Dutch have never won the World Cup. I think you got to 3 finals. You lost every one of them. Is it the same desperation in the Netherlands to win the World Cup as it is over here for a country that's already won one?
Yeah, they are desperate. They're desperate. The pressure is less than here.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
Even though the journalists, they are now on Koeman's, they're putting a lot of pressure on Koeman.
Yeah.
Because he has made some selections that they don't agree with. Summerfield has come in for on the right hand side. They want Summerfield to be in, but they want him to play from the left.
Yes.
But he has taken him for the right hand side, and then there are a few other things going on. Look, the ex-footballers, the ex-Dutch footballers, they know that the Netherlands, they are not as strong as they used to be. Even though at the back they are solid, midfield they have got really good midfielders. Normally the Dutch are known for their top 3, you know, the 3 strikers. With all due respect to them, they don't have really 3 strikers at like big clubs. No. Yes, you can say Gakpo is from Liverpool, but he doesn't play every match, and you still have got Weghorst. He's still part of it. So that is a little bit where the problem is. If the Dutch put the Dutch mentality aside and are not total football this year and more defensively, they will have a chance to go really far because they've got really good defenders and really good midfielders.
Will Memphis Depay start, or do you think Brobbey? Because I've been really enjoying Brobbey in the Premier League for Sunderland. I look at when he plays, I'd hate to be a defender defending against him. Strong, aggressive, can finish, can smash a ball as well. Do you think he starts or Memphis Depay?
I don't think both of them are going to start. No. I think there is a little problem with Depay's fitness. Yeah. So they're trying to give him some more minutes in his legs. Bobby, yeah, you can use him. But I don't think that he has got that much of credit at the Dutch national team. I think they're going to resolve it differently.
Maybe Marlon.
I think Marlon. I think it will be Marlon. Yes.
You had a big blow, of course. Timber.
Yes.
Getting injured, ruled out the tournament. How much of a miss will he be?
Big miss. Big player for the Netherlands. He can play centre half, and he can play as a right back. He plays. We all know that he plays in England as a right back because football is a little bit different in England. I think with the national team, you can get away with a smaller centre half.
Yeah.
And I think he would have been playing with Van Dijk as a centre half. Hacker will take that over now, and Dumfries will play on the right. But he will be a big miss.
Do you not look at the midfield though of De Jong, Reinders, Gravenberch? Also on the front players, Kluivert, who obviously been injured a lot, but he's in the squad. They've got some decent players, haven't they?
They have. Kluivert will, I think, play on the right. Yeah. Gravenberch will play because of what he has done in the last 2 years. Yeah. Reinders, who used to be number 1, together with De De Jong will definitely play. Reinders will be 50-50 because of the year that he has had, and rhythm. But in midfield, the Netherlands are good. They're good.
Jimmy, earlier on we were talking about our favourite memories from the World Cup. Now, it's not often you ask that person that question, and he's played in it. But before we talk about your memories playing in it, you're a lot older than me, so you go back.
A little bit.
Do you know what? I don't think you are. What's your earliest memory as a kid watching the World Cup before we talk about you playing in it?
82.
Okay,
long time.
We're very similar ages, yeah.
82, Rossi for Italy.
Yeah.
Scoring a hat-trick against Brazil. I was crying because I was a Brazil fan.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. You had Junior, you had Socrates, you had Zico, you had these names you don't know. Falcao scored. Amazing. That was my first World Cup that I can remember. And then you had Germany, Rummenigge and stuff.
Yeah.
And then 86.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, as a kid growing up, I was playing in the World Cup every day in my garden, as you were, as Gabby was.
Yeah.
But you played in the real World Cup.
Yeah.
Can you remember the first time you walked out onto a World Cup pitch and played a game in the tournament?
Yes.
I mean, it just must have been obscene, right?
Parc des Princes. In Paris against Belgium for the Netherlands. I was started 0-0. Special moment. All my family were there. They drove from Amsterdam to Paris.
Where does that rank amongst great moments in your career?
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah,
that's the highest ever you can get as a young player. That's what you are hoping to ever achieve, getting to the World Cup, and of course winning it, and of course scoring the winning goal. That wasn't meant to be, but getting there, being there, playing full stadium, having millions of people watching
different.
Totally different.
Who was you in competition with in that squad?
There were 4 strikers.
Go on.
Me, Dennis Bergkamp, Kluivert, Van Hooijdonk.
Van Hooijdonk, what player he was. Wow.
Yeah.
And was it going through your mind in that game when you're walking out of like, okay, I'm at a World Cup, I want to do well. Obviously you want to do well, but you just think, don't you? Like, this could be my one game. I could play more games.
It was my one game. It was my one game. I had a small chance. I think I hit the post from a different angle. I think if I score that goal, I'm off, and I think I play a lot more.
Yes.
Dennis Bergkamp was not 100%, so that's why I started with Kluivert as number 10.
Lovely.
Then the second game, Dennis Bergkamp came back, and his tournament started, and he had the best tournament ever. So it was difficult to get in.
You played with some unbelievable players. Ruud van Nistelrooy, of course, being one of them as well.
Yeah.
Who do you think's the best player you've ever played with?
Oh, don't ask me that.
Ooh.
That is so hard.
We have to push.
You must have been asked that before, Jimmy.
Yeah, I have, but I can't. I never say one name. I never say. Look, Dennis Bergkamp in '98 was absolutely magnificent. Gianfranco Sola, Davids, Kluivert, Seedorf.
That's ridiculous.
That Dutch team, wow.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then. Did you ever hang out with Johan Cruyff? Did you ever? Your paths ever crossed?
He's a lot older than me.
No, I know that. Of course, I know that. He was playing at the '74 World Cup. But did your paths ever cross?
Never crossed.
Oh, wow.
Seen him a couple of times, been in the same room as him a couple of times, but that's it.
What was that like? Just being in the same room? I mean, he's one of the greatest ever.
He's the Dutch GOAT, isn't he? Yeah, he's the Dutch GOAT.
Which was the goal that Bergkamp scored?
Against Argentina.
Was that '98?
98, yes.
Wow, that goal. Oh,
yeah, 98.
I remember it.
I remember it. Unbelievable.
I was warming up. And I saw the pass going, and you just look at the ball and you see Bergkamp in the corner of your eye, and you think, what's he going to do? And then he plucks it out of the air.
The finish as well.
And then he cuts it a little bit, and then outside foot finish.
Yeah. Made it look easy, right?
Very easy.
I did that in my garden loads of times.
Yeah, me as well.
Never called up. Never called up. What do we know this Wednesday morning? Well, we know that Nottingham Forest are reportedly demanding more than £100 million for Elliot Anderson. Man City and Manchester United interested. Jeffrey Boycott has called for England to suspend. This is nuts. The captain, Ben Stokes, following his night club incident on Sunday night. Boycott says Stokes has shown a lack of brains. Fine, but you don't need to suspend him. That's bit silly. England boss Thomas Tuchel spoke to talkSPORT yesterday ahead of our live coverage of England against Costa Rica tonight, and he gave his thoughts on Bellingham and Rodgers. The debate, it rumbles on about who should play at number 10.
They're just top football players, both of them. Morgan is a bit more vertical than Jude in his game, but both of them are fantastic players. Morgan, key player for Aston Villa, got a European title, played 5,000 minutes, I think. Is a proper machine, and is non-stop available and getting better and better. We could feel in the first days of camp that Morgan needs a bit of time to restart the engine, but he got stronger and stronger in the last 2 training sessions. Jude, after his injury, trains with a lot of joy, played with a lot of joy. He's just happy to be back on the pitch, which is not a surprise, and is actually something we can use because he hasn't played so many minutes.
Jimmy, I want to move on and talk Chelsea in just a sec, but just finally to round things off on England, have you been surprised by the way Tuchel has managed Bellingham?
No, I'm not surprised. That's the way that Tuchel goes about his things. I think he's done it very clever and keeps Bellingham on his toes and making Bellingham see that, listen, there is somebody else that is competing with you to take your place. You need to do more and you need to stay on top of your game.
Okay.
Do you think? Sorry, Andy.
Go on, no.
Do you think that will help Bellingham? I think it will, because if he does start against Croatia, he knows he has to be at it because Morgan Rodgers is waiting, and he's a big fan of Morgan Rodgers, the manager.
Yeah, but if you look how Tuchel was in the beginning when he took over and what he was saying, he speaks totally different now.
Yeah.
Why? Because he is in camp and he needs to now give him something. He needs to build him up. He needs to now. You're there. You're going to get the chance. I think he will start Bellingham.
Yeah.
Right, let's talk about your former club, Chelsea, right? I've got the league table here. Hold on, let me just scroll down.
Why do you need to do that?
Hold on, wait, I'm nearly 8th. Well, hold on, 9th.
Why do you need to do that?
This year's 10th. They finished 10th.
Yes.
3 different managers, Maresca, Liam Rosenior, McFarlane, lost the FA Cup final to Man City, battered by PSG in the last 16 in the Champions League. Do you want to talk about Leeds?
Yeah.
What's going to happen next season? They've obviously gone out and tried to identify the problem. The main one, I think, being the manager. Xabi Alonso has come in to try and turn things around. How difficult a task has he got, do you think?
Very difficult, because he has to persuade certain players to stay because they're not in Champions League, and majority of the players of that caliber wants to play Champions League year in, year out. So first of all, that. Second of all, he's going to have to change some kind of part of the mentality that has been lost in a way when Maresca went. So he has to restore that, and then he has to, whatever happens, he has to put a football together that is going to be successful. You know, that might be the easiest part, but that doesn't come before he does the first 2 that I've just mentioned.
Do you think as well, when you look at Chelsea, listen, attacking wise, great players, score goals, midfield, Casado, Fernandes, but defensively, centre halves, he has to be allowed, Alonso, doesn't he, to bring in experienced centre halves that Chelsea have always had?
Yeah, look, I think they have identified that they have gone a little bit wrong in that aspect. I think they are going to invest in some players who are a little bit older.
Yeah.
Let's not forget, Chelsea has got a lot of talent, and a lot of quality. It's getting the mentality right. What I think Alonso will get right. Let's not forget they are not in Europe next year, what will help them. But they will have to strengthen the squad, and they will have to let a lot of players go because they don't need a big squad for next year.
Two of the players they might have to let go are Enzo Fernandez and Cucurella, who've publicly come out and said they want to leave the club. If you were teammates of those players, what would you say to them privately?
Nothing, because that happens in football. That happens as a teammate. That happens.
Yeah.
Gab, you know yourself. It is a team sport, but it is a very selfish sport. You know. On the other hand, you have to look after yourself. I understand it. You know, Cucurella. Don't get me wrong. He has done exceptionally well in the last 2 years. Enzo Fernandez as well. But I think you can replace those two players very easily.
Okay. We've got you in the next hour.
Have you?
Do you want a croissant? There's a couple of croissants left. Do you want one? Have you had breakfast yet, Jimmy?
No breakfast for me.
You don't eat breakfast?
No, I don't have breakfast, and there's only good stuff going in the body.
I got one more question for you though on Chelsea. Liam Delap hasn't really worked for him at Chelsea.
No.
I was looking last season, at the start of the season. You got a chance here if you perform for Chelsea to go to the World Cup. Do you think he stays at Chelsea? And if he does, what advice would you give him on his game?
I think his confidence has shattered. I think he's, you know yourself as a striker, you need 4, 5, 6 games in a row, but then also you need to demand that. You know, you need to. When I mean demand that, when you get your first chance, you need to show something. Things have not gone really for him. He's got the physical attribute. He's got a lot going, but I don't think that there has been somebody that has put the arm around him and really like worked with him in depth.